Continuing our coverage of the massive college entrance cheating scandal that has been dubbed Operation Varsity Blues by authorities tonight. Frederick M. Lawrence is the former president of Brandeis University and secretary and CEO of Phi Beta Kappa Society. Talia Zittner is a senior at Wilson Senior High School in Northwest, and Margaret Trinity, she is the parent of 2 Wilson Senior High School students. Thank you all for joining us. Mr. President, I want to start with you. I mean, what do you make of this? Could this have happened while you were president?
Well, it's an outrage. So much of the admissions process is based on trust. You know, even at a Division III school, which is what Brandeis was, most of the schools involved in this are Division I schools. Now, it makes a difference in terms of how seriously athletics is taken, in terms of how much money is put in athletics, frankly. But even at a Division III school, each of my coaches had a couple of what we call tips. And a tip doesn't mean that somebody gets in, it just means that goes in the file, and that's a plus in the file. And the admissions office then takes that file, and they run the file to make sure the academic bona fides of the student make out. But they're not undercutting or looking into the athletic bona fides. Their job is not to see whether the coach got it right that this kid could play soccer. So when that trust gets broken, then the whole process becomes, much infected by it.
There's an honor system here, across the board in all of these schools.
Has to be. And by the way, we shouldn't forget that this is a terrible situation, but we're talking about a small number of cases where there will be literally millions of admissions decisions made in the next month or 2. So overwhelmingly, the system does work. But this is a very serious set of allegations.
Talia, let me ask you this. You're looking at colleges right now, right?
Yeah.
What do you think when you see something like this? That some families, some parents have cheated to give their children a leg up.
It's incredibly disappointing to me, just because I see how hard my peers work, and I know how hard I've worked to, get into these schools and to apply. And so it's unbelievably frustrating that some people aren't satisfied with, the connections that they already have and feel the need to cheat their way into college.
And you're a senior, right?
Yeah.
And for people who don't understand, how much work are you putting into getting into one of the schools of your choice?
It's honestly months and months of work. You have to start junior year, sophomore year, touring colleges, writing essays, editing those essays, making sure they're perfect, all your extracurriculars. It's a 4-year process, I would say.
And are your parents right there with you? I mean, they're riding you the whole time.
Yeah.
They're reminding you what you need to do.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to ask you, you've got 2 in college that have gone through the process. You got two more twins waiting.
Yes.
What do you mean?
One of the joys of this process is to see your student take ownership of the process. And so that's what's so discouraging, is to see that the parents actually took ownership in this case. And I think one of the messages that ideally as parents we're sending to our young children is that our young adults, is that there are many paths to success, and you don't need to bribe an Ivy League in order to experience success in life. So it was just very sad. It's a sad story.
Tonight, the lessons in these homes. Take the 2 actresses. You explain to your children.
How do you explain that?
You're going to be arrested. Mm-hmm. You could be facing serious, well, you are facing serious charges. How do you begin to talk to your children about that? How do you explain that, justify that?
Well, you got 3 sets of victims here. The universities themselves are victims. First and foremost are the students who've applied legitimately through the process. But I think that the students on whose behalf the cheating took place, the ones who didn't know about it, they're victims.
Absolutely.
Because what they have learned is this inverse lesson that somehow it's okay to cheat. It's not okay to cheat. And even had they gotten in, it would have undercut their ability to do the work.
Well, you've also learned that your parents didn't have enough faith in you, that they had to cheat.
That's exactly it. I think parents, we want to express that we have faith and confidence in our young people, and this was the opposite message, right? You can't do it without my help.
We also forget that there are literally 3,000 to 4,000 colleges and universities in this country, hundreds and hundreds that in any other country would be at the top level. And this notion that it's worth doing these terrible, illegal things to get into this school is totally misguided.
Let's leave people on a positive note here. Let's talk about reform. How do you fix this so it doesn't happen again? What would you do?
Well, starting right away, I can tell you that universities across the country right now, the deterrent effect is enormous. So I bet you there are coaches right now having discussions with their assistant coaches, telling them that if this sort of thing happens, your smallest problem will be the authorities, because you'll have to come through me. Think of a guy like Patrick Ewing at Georgetown right now. He doesn't have his assistant coaches doing things like this. But the second thing is the admissions office, sad but true, are going to have to do a deeper kind of check into the applications.
What do you want from the universities, the colleges to do?
Well, I want the college admissions offices to do that deeper check so that we can all feel more comfortable about the integrity in the process. And maybe there needs to be more transparency in the process as well. What drove those parents to take those radical steps? So maybe the colleges will do some more introspection as well.
Should the students be penalized, whether you knew or didn't know what your parents were doing? Let's say you're in school right now, or you've got a degree from the school. Should you be penalized, or should the students get a pass? No students have been charged in this.
I think if the students did not know, then they should be evaluated on how well they did at the school. It's true that somebody didn't get in when they got in, but you can't fix that particular problem right now. If the students did know, then I'm afraid they should be held fully responsible.
Talia, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with that. I think that, you know, it's probably incredibly disappointing for a student to find out that they didn't necessarily deserve the spot that they received. So yeah, students who didn't know that this was done on their behalf, you know, there's nothing they could do about that. But students who do, I think should be.
Okay, Frederick, Talia, and Margaret, thank you very much.